facing a crucial moment, Chuck Schumer's test amid Democratic ire as Congress gears up to reconvene this fall. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, a prominent New York Democrat, finds himself at the center of a significant political challenge. The legislative body will deliberate on a new funding bill aimed at preventing a government shutdown, a task that requires navigating the treacherous waters of bipartisan negotiation. Schumer's actions will be closely watched, particularly given the growing unrest among Democratic voters nationwide. Why this matters: Democratic discontent. Across the country, Democratic supporters are increasingly expressing dissatisfaction with what they perceive as a weak response from their party's leaders to President Donald Trump's agenda during his second term. With Democrats lacking a majority in either the House or the Senate, their ability to obstruct the president's plans is significantly curtailed. Yet this has not stopped voters from demanding more assertive action from their elected representatives. In March, Schumer encountered a wave of backlash from fellow Democrats when he opted not to obstruct a Republican-backed stopgap bill designed to avert a government shutdown. Although Schumer and 8 other Democrats initially supported a procedural motion to permit debate on the bill, they eventually voted against its passage. This move, however, proved insufficient to prevent the bill from overcoming a filibuster and becoming law, much to the chagrin of Democratic critics. Understanding the current landscape, Congress has until October 1 to pass a series of bills funding the government through the fiscal year 2026. Republicans hold narrow majorities in both chambers, boasting a 219 to 212 edge in the House and a 53 to 47 lead in the Senate. This means that any vote on the funding package may once again be a close call, presenting a complex scenario for both parties. For Republican leaders, the challenge lies in balancing the demands of swing district moderates and MAGA-aligned conservatives. Meanwhile, Democrats like Schumer must navigate the delicate act of satisfying their voter base, while collaborating with Republicans to secure concessions within the bills. In March, Democrats across the political spectrum voiced their disappointment with Schumer and other party members for advancing the spending bill without securing any meaningful concessions from Republicans. Critics argued that the bill undermined crucial programs. Some Democrats even called for Schumer to face a primary challenge or step down as party leader, although he has shown no inclination to do so. Navigating bipartisan negotiations, Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, another New York Democrat, have reached out to GOP leadership, urging a meeting to discuss avoiding a government funding lapse and addressing the health care crisis triggered by Republicans. They emphasize that the government funding issue must be resolved in a bipartisan manner, as it is the only viable path forward. Historically, Democrats have often compromised to avoid shouldering the blame for government shutdowns. However, attempting to transform these negotiations into a broader confrontation over constitutional principles and fundamental values poses a significant risk. While such a stance might resonate with the party's core base, seeking greater backbone, its broader appeal to the nation remains uncertain. According to Grant Davis-Reher, a political science professor at Syracuse University, the Senate, where legislation typically requires a 60-vote threshold to end debate on a bill, offers Democrats a better chance to mitigate some of the Republicans' spending reduction ambitions. Democrats' strategy will largely hinge on whether their objective is to prevent future spending cuts or to reverse reductions already inflicted on programs such as Medicaid or public broadcasting. The latter would necessitate a more forceful approach, Reher noted. Ann Dennehy, Senior Associate Dean and Associate Professor of the Practice at Boston University's College of Communications, observed that Schumer may find himself in a difficult position, with his communication regarding decision-making and voting critical. Democrats harbor two contrasting viewpoints on handling such legislation. One faction believes that Democrats should refuse to grant Republicans any concessions, demonstrating their disapproval of the dismantling of the federal government. On the other hand, figures like Schumer argue that compromise is essential to prevent total loss and protect the American people from suffering. Dennehy cautioned that excessive Democratic outrage could erode the party's influence, a concern for leadership as negotiations commence on the spending bills. Reher and Dennehy pondered whether a more progressive Democrat might successfully challenge Schumer in the 2028 primaries if he decides to seek re-election, even amidst potential base outrage. While much speculation surrounds a credible primary challenge, Reher doubts its likelihood or success. Senator Schumer, unlike Joseph Crowley, remains deeply engaged with New York State issues and local communities. He is unlikely to overlook any potential threats, and a credible challenger would risk much by confronting him. Some names have emerged as potential alternatives to Schumer in 2028, including Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, who represents parts of Queens and the Bronx in Congress. Should she not pursue a presidential bid, she might present a viable candidate. Polling data suggests Ocasio-Cortez could enjoy an early advantage over Schumer. A Data for Progress poll conducted between March 26 and March 31, surveying 767 likely New York voters, revealed Ocasio-Cortez leading Schumer 54 to 36%. Nevertheless, the primary election is several years away, and the political landscape may shift dramatically after the 2026 midterms, when Democrats aspire to regain control of the House and Senate. As a result, it remains unclear what issues will dominate Democrats' priorities come 2028. Expert opinions Grant Davis Reher, a political science professor at Syracuse University, shared with Newsweek. From recent polls, it is evident that many of the Republican and Trump initiatives lack popularity, and the public harbors genuine concerns about certain spending cuts and the assault on the federal workforce. Democrats should maintain a focus on these issues heading into the midterms, without letting the blame game for stalled negotiations overshadow their efforts. In this regard, I concur with Senator Schumer's perspective. In a March interview with NBC News' Kristen Welker on Meet the Press, Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer explained, "When I voted against the government shutdown, I was aware of the controversy it would generate, and indeed it did. Let me elucidate why I deemed it necessary. The continuing resolution was indeed problematic, but a shutdown would have been exponentially worse. During a shutdown, the executive branch holds unilateral authority to designate what is deemed essential without judicial oversight." Looking ahead, negotiations on the spending bill are anticipated to commence in the coming weeks, with Congress having until October 1 to pass legislation to avert a government shutdown. Whether they will rely on temporary stopgap measures or succeed in passing the appropriations bills remains to be seen.